recorded in the beautiful mountains of British Columbia. Welcome to
Friends on Horses.
Welcome back to Friends on Horses and our midwinter episode. Winter blues been getting you down? Not this horse enthusiast. We're joined today by Skijor Canada's Sam Mitchell. Skijoring is currently the fastest growing winter sport in North America and is a true Canadian celebration of winter sport and spirit. Skijor Canada formed as a volunteer organization in 2017 with the goal of facilitating safe, consistent development of the Skijor sport on a national level. Skijor Canada has the goal of forming a race circuit culminating in a Canadian Championship event in Calgary. Welcome, Sam, to Friends on Horses.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I wanted to start off by just asking you a little bit about Skijoring, which is actually what we'll be asking you about for this entire podcast.
Awesome. One of the things I know.
So paint a picture for our listeners. What the heck is Skijoring?
Skijoring comes from the Norwegian word to ski drive, and it actually started with reindeer. When the snow was too deep, they would harness reindeer and then ski behind them to get around in the winter to visit each other. And they actually have races at summits where they drive and ski at the same time. So there's no rider up, which is your sort of original the OS, I guess, the original Skijoring. We do it cowboy style with a rider up, and we do it a little bit differently than the States. They rig with a carabiner through the primary Ds of the saddle, and we dally. So we don't tie on hard and fast, no loops, no handles. Anything goes sideways, everybody lets go, everybody's safe. And the other thing, it makes a difference because you've really got to have a handle on your horse. And we structure our events. We have 4 events that we run at Skijor do. So we structure it for different types of horses, riders, and skiers in terms of their ability and their experience, so that everybody gets a chance to go out and have fun, but also your really handy people can go show off their amazingly trained horses. And and then your ninja skiers can also flip tricks and astonish the crowd, and it makes it a really good scope for everybody to join into.
Cool. It sounds really like there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of different types of people.
Yes, that's the most fun thing about it is the bounce. And then there's this Skijor style thing that's evolved, which I love because I love vintage clothing. I love upcycling and recycling and making my own stuff. And I'm a regular at Value Village. So there's this great, style that's developing from people pulling old Hudson's Bay coats and fur coats out of their basement and their coonskin caps, and then pairing it with like crazy spandex ski onesies. And it's a fun way for the audience to get involved, because my theory is everybody wants to dress up, nobody wants to be the only one. So we're creating a culture where we really celebrate Canada and our love of our environment, our love of winter, our love of adrenaline, and speed, and showing off just a little bit. So yeah, it's an amazing mix of people, and it's so much fun to introduce those people and then hang out with them all.
That's really cool. And I encourage anyone to go onto YouTube, onto the Skijor Canada YouTube page, and you will see there'll be these stupendous horses and these skiers, or I even saw a snowboarder in one of the videos, attached to these horses, just going for it. And yeah, the outfits are almost as spectacular as the riding and skiers.
I'm a little bit of a wardrobe Nazi. And I also have my barn is basically my tickle trunk. So I have, like a Halloween section and a Skijoring section and a side saddle section. And it's just like, come over and pick out an outfit and have fun. I'm basically Mrs. Dress Up.
I love that. I was online watching some of the YouTube videos last night, just kind of getting prepared for the interview. And I noticed that there's kind of rings that the skiers will often try to kind of hook as they're going through. Is there a point system, or where do those kind of come into play?
So we actually got the pattern for those ring stands from the Leadville Skijoring competition, and there's some interesting history behind the design of those stands. We modified it slightly, built the stands out of aluminum, and the rings are they're called PEX. They're a plastic plumbing tube, and then they've got a rare earth magnet on the top, and then there's a rare earth magnet on the stand, so they just click in place. For Banff, that was the first time we'd used them up here. And we made that a style show. There was no time on that, so it was judged kind of figure skating style by a ski judge and a horse judge. What we'll do at Skijor is they'll be a part of the circuit race, and there will be a penalty for each ring missed. It'll be your time plus you have to ride it and kind of figure it out. So I ride everything first to see how it feels, to make sure that it's safe for the horses, that we're not cranking too hard a turn, that it's challenging for our skiers, but absolutely doable and safe for the horses. Horse safety is our foremost concern.
Awesome.
And so just for those of you who haven't had a chance to kind of visually see what skijoring looks like, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, it's horses galloping at high speeds. Often the skiers who are being towed are taking quite high jumps at the same time, sometimes doing tricks, as you were kind of talking about in the freestyle section. And then they're trying to hook these rings that I was just asking about. I'm wondering how high are the jumps? Like, is there kind of a set like that the skiers would be?
So it depends. It depends on what we're running for a show or a competition. So when we started, I'll go back to how it started, which was with Skijor, which I spent. My stepdad was Swiss, and my sister still lives in Switzerland, and I spent several winters there. And I love the après ski vibe, and I love fondue. I'm a cheese hound and a gear hound. And so when I moved home full time, there's always this pull, like, do we ride on the weekends or do we go skiing? And we had a bunch of friends who did both. So I haven't had a TV for 14 years. So I think up ways to stay busy. And I thought, well, what if we did, like a skijoring party, and we have all our horse friends and all our ski friends, and add cheese, and that's Skijor. So our first event was just a private party. It was just an invitation. I think we invited 12 people, and 65 people crashed it, which was awesome. And I thought people would be like trotting around and falling over, and it was so good and so fast and so competitive, like right off the bat, that I was astonished. I was like, wow. And everybody loved it. We had the most fun. The entry fee was cheese. Everybody brought a hunk of cheese, and we just and I actually formed the Alberta Skijor Society first, strictly for the acronym, because I really enjoyed, writing checks to and from ASS. I have to entertain myself. I live out in the country. And then it evolved into Skijor Canada. And so what we did the next year is we set up 4 different events, and that's where we talk about jumps. So our circuit course is an individual course. It's timed, and there are a bunch of challenging elements for the skiers. The horse has to do a little bit of sort of pole bending and a couple of corners, and there's emphasis on rate and rideability. So you've got a rate coming around a corner, and then you've got to accelerate to get your skier up a berm, and then your skier's got to be able to navigate that centrifugal pull. The skier's always on the outside of the course. And that was funny audio. Did you guys get that?
Yeah, that's okay. It sounded like a fart.
Yeah, I was like, that was not me. Yeah, we're losing audio a little bit here, but maybe it'll clear up in a sec. So we have that circuit race, which is timed, and then we run a relay. Oh yeah, sorry. And there's berms, and which is like where you go up and across and down, and then there's little rollers, which you've got to absorb with your knee. And then there's jumps, which you can suck the jumps and just like drop off them, or you can like bounce them and really launch. It just depends how much time you want in the air. So important things I say to people when they're building jumps is like, have a down ramp for your skier. Don't have them landing on the flat, because they just eat their teeth and blow their knees, and it's not fun. And stop me, girls, if I just bang on too long. For Banff, we were on a really tight schedule because they couldn't close the street until 7 o'clock that night. And we had to do an entire course before midnight, which we didn't get done. We hand shoveled till 2 in the morning. It was insane. But we built jumps on 4x8 foot pallets in 3 sections each. So there's an up ramp and then an across and then a down ramp. The first jump was 3 feet high. The kicker is not that high, but it's scooped to flip those guys up. And that's for pros only. That's not for people who don't trick ski regularly. And then the last jump was about 4 feet high, but it's not that big a drop, right? And again, you can choose how much you bounce off those jumps. And then our next event after the circuit is the relay, which is super fun. It's with 1 horse and 2 skiers. So you take skier A out to a bale. Skier A hands the rope to skier B at a flat gallop, and you've got the length of your rope to roll back and take skier B. And it's a real test. It's amazing. Then we run the sprints. They run abreast, and they're just a straight flat track, and it's timed as well. And then we run a long jump, which is a distance. It's how far the skier gets, and it's judged by his back boot, snowboarder or skier. So that's where we really fling people.
So it sounds like there's a really kind of combined skill set that's required for athletes to get into this sport. You're looking for a very skilled rider and a very skilled skier. Can you kind of elaborate on that, how the teams are kind of formed?
Absolutely. The first year that we did it, what I did is called the first year we went public. So we turned it into a fundraiser for Prairie Skies Eco-Assisted Therapy, which is a charity and an organization that's really close to my heart, and they're great in our local area, assisting all sorts of people with disabilities. So we set it up to fundraise for them, and their crew came and helped us run the event. And I called all of my horse people, all my rodeo guys, all my trainers, and said, I need you and your 3 fastest horses, because a horse can only go 1 time per event. A person can go multiple times. And then a good friend of mine out of Edmonton, who's a ski cross trainer, brought all her little park rats with her, and we paired these 18-year-old ski ninjas up with these, legendary stuntmen and pickup men. And they were all so crunchy. The kids are like, well, I don't know if this cowboy can go fast enough. And the cowboys are like, well, you better make sure this kid can ski. And they met the morning of, and they went out for their first run, and they all came back just grinning. I mean, if it had been summertime, there would have been bugs in their teeth. And, they're all the same kind of crazy. They just do different things with their crazy, but the mentality is the same. And it's so much fun to see those people connect and go out to play together. And, because we can always get we can get the winter blues, and we can get staying inside and eating too much chocolate, she says, with a giant bar of chocolate. This is me today. I'm working my way through this.
Oh, delicious.
Yeah. Can I come over?
Absolutely. I have a drawer full. So we just produced a 3-part Skijoring 101 series that kind of gives you the basics, because we get a lot of questions about how to get started. And I always say, start with a broke horse. Do not start this with a green horse. Make sure you have a good handle on your horse. You have a good relationship with them. You can neck rein, they move off your leg. You've accustomed them to a rope, and start it slow. And I wouldn't start with green anybody, like a skier should be able to, or a boarder should be comfortable on their board, have good balance. So, if you want to get into the sport, the best thing to do is come to an event, watch the intro videos, join the Facebook community, ask some questions, introduce yourself. It's a great community. It's very welcoming, and we're all keen to help people get started and do it well and make sure that everybody's safe and happy. And then, if you are an experienced rider or slider and you want to pair up, that Facebook forum is great for saying, hi, I'm Sam and I like to ride, and here's a picture of my horse and I love to go fast and I'm looking for a skier. And then you'll have people chime in and say, well, hey, my buddy's looking for a drag, and then you can enter by team. So we don't arrange this anymore because that's sort of, I have a lot of other things to do. This is the truth. but people can set it up via social media, and it's really fun to watch people meeting and going out to practices and cranking their turns and learning to land their jumps. It's great fun.
That's really interesting, and that actually flows into another question that we had, and that was about safety. So starting right, looking after your horse. What are your recommendations there? How do people get going in the right way, and what should they be considering?
First and foremost is your horse's welfare, which is conditioning. Don't pull a fat, furry horse out of the field and just run the lungs off it. Condition your horses. We do a lot of walking and trotting. I use back on track protective gear on all around, legs, bell boots. I'll often use because they have that great Weltex technology that improves circulation. And I'll often, like if it's really cold out, I'll put that on my horses first. I'll rug them and wrap them and just kind of get them warmed up. And again, you want to warm up just like you would for any event. And you want to make sure that you cool down correctly as well, which is, I love those mesh sheets. I even like them more than the fleece. They're breathable, they're tough. I can throw them on my horses, chuck them in the trailer, and usually by the time I get home, they're dry and warm and ready to turn out. For your slider, and we use that term to encompass both snowboarders and skiers, you want to have leather gloves, not ski gloves. You can have a bit of a feel on that rope. Hot Shots is one of our great sponsors, and their little hand warmer things and their heated insoles and their body warmers. Like, I learned to use those on movie sets, and they kept me alive. Like, stick a couple of those to your back and you will just have the best day. And make sure you've got goggles on, slider, because you are going to get big chunks of snow in your face directly. Wear a helmet. We really advocate helmets for sliders. And if anything goes wrong, just let go of the rope. Just let go, and it's fine. But yeah, if you're looking to get started, do it with somebody who's done it before. Ask for help, because we're all happy to help, and we all want to see it go well.
Oh, I can sense your next question. Go on.
So you're kind of talking about it with the rope a little bit. Is there any specialized equipment that is needed with a horse and skier rider setup?
You can whale out and do it with any rope. I prefer something that's at least 3/4 of an inch in diameter. I find that's a little easier for my slider to grab. I don't like it too fat because then I can't dally. And the absolute perfect rope, actually Calgary Climbing Center donated a bunch of used ropes to us that we cut to length. We want it to be at least 30 feet long, probably not longer than 40. Those are our regulation ropes for course. And I always say to the skiers or to the sliders, leave some tail behind you, leave about probably 10, 15 feet of rope tail. And then if your horse starts hard, you can let that rope slide a little bit through your hand. You've got a two-handed grip, and you can just kind of play with it and have a feel. And that way, if you get big air over a jump, you can let that rope slide and you're not getting jerked out of the air. So it's a personal feel. Like a lot of cowboys like to work with a lariat. I was towing skiers with a lariat yesterday. My favorite, and the trick skiers really enjoy that climbing rope because it's a little dynamic. It's got a bit of stretch and bounce to it, which is kind of more forgiving.
No fancy harnesses though, hey?
There are people doing it. We don't competition drive right now. But yeah, there are definitely people that are starting to do that and really enjoying it. And we may have a class for that eventually, but not this year.
And both Mira and I saw something kind of cool that we'd love some more information on, and that is the horse's shoes.
Oh yeah, super important. So a lot of horses run barefoot and do really well. If it's ideal snow conditions, if the snow is like soft and grabby, that's fine. If you're on ice, you want a shoe. And if you shoe, you absolutely need snow pads, which are, I don't know if you guys have seen them, the little rubber pads that sit inside and they pop the snow out that balls up in the horse's foot. And you either need sharps or boreum. So sharp shoes are where the nail sits proud of the shoe. And they're great for traction, not so great for turnout if your horse is a kicker. Boreum is a bunch of little metal filaments, and they usually fuse to the toe and the heel. So I run boreum and snow pads, and I love it. And my horse is great traction.
Nice.
But you've got to be like anytime you dally up to go skijoring, test your footing. Like start slow, do a couple turns, pull a stop, see how your horse feels before you open it up. Like don't just go out there 100 miles an hour not knowing what's underneath the snow. For example, last year when we ran at the Polo Club gets a lot of wind and it creates these sort of discs of ice when it thaws. So we cleared an entire polo field. We stripped the field, chewed the snow up, and laid it back down to make sure that there were no ice spots under that snow for competition. So, you know, be aware. Also, holes. Like if you're running out in a pasture, make sure that you know that territory, because if your horse puts a foot in a hole, you know, you're going to have a tumble. So just be sensible and think about the conditions for your horse and think about the conditions for your slider too.
One question that I had was, well, it seems like within an event, there are a ton of different little events. Like there's a ton, like you've got your cool hoop grabbing events. And I saw on one of your videos, horses pulling people on sofas.
Ah, the lounge race.
The lounge race. Yeah, so
Alpine racing lounges.
So there's some pretty fun things, and I'd love for you to expand a little bit on some of those awesome, super fun and interesting events and the differences between them.
So those events you're speaking about, and that's the fundraiser. This year we're supporting Prairie Skies again, and we're also supporting the Millerville Agricultural and Racing Society. So they had a big snowfall and their arena roof caved in, and we're helping them raise some money to, they've redone it, but we're helping them pay for that. And they're being really great hosts, and they have a lot more infrastructure. I love the Polo Club. I've been with the Polo Club for a long time. And the ground is good at both places, but we need grandstands. We need an indoor arena for our makers market. We need a little more infrastructure. So the 4 events that we're running, our circuit, which we discussed, relay, sprint, and long jump. We may add a style factor to the long jump. We're just in discussion about who might judge that, some fun celebrity judges. And then the lounge race is a sponsor event, and it's a Calcutta auction. So we auction those teams before the race, and 50% goes to the buyer of the winning team and 50% goes to Prairie Skies Equine. So the lounge race was another one of those late night, like, how can we have more fun ideas? I'm a big fan of Top Gear. I don't know if you guys know that show with Jeremy Clarkson, and so we kind of cooked that up for actually a couple of our sponsors who didn't ride or ski, and we wanted to get them involved. And I was just sitting on the couch thinking, well, what if we put skis on this? So we shopped one together and tried it out and made a few technical adjustments. And so a regulation lounge has a couch minimum love seat style or a size, a coffee table, and a lamp. And you can add other things to it if you like. For example, last year I ran with a full fake plant. We ran for 420 dispensaries, so we needed to have some greenery on there. And you've got to have 2 people on it and 2 horses pulling. So your dallies go, your ropes go to the inside, your dallies go to the inside, and it's pretty crazy. And we inspect all the lounges to make sure they're safe. You have to finish with everything you started with. So if you lose a lamp or you lose a person, you don't win the race. And we are actually, next weekend, we are shooting a very fun segment on Alpine lounge racing. And I can't say exactly what it is yet, but stay tuned to social media, because that will be really fun, and you can expect that in a couple of weeks. We have so many fun things filming right now. It's crazy. Like, we were all day on set yesterday, and I can't talk about that either. But let's just say Skijoring is going next level and international.
That is so cool. And it's kind of a nice break from, you know, we can be a little bit stuffy, us horse people, a little bit stuffy and clicky. And it sounds like this is, I mean, not only you're required to have, I mean, great horses and athletes, both riders, horses, and your skier or snowboarder. But also it feels inclusive and fun and not stuffy. Good job.
It is so much fun, and Skijor do especially, because it's a big fromage fest. I mean, our slogan is "Eat cheese, go fast." So, and people are just kind of like, "What?" which is exactly what I want to inspire. You know, I want people to look at this and just go, what's happening? I had a potential sponsor, a guy who became a sponsor, and he called me and he said, you know, I just watched your video and I don't understand this, but I need to be a part of it. And I was like, right on, you're a part, you're in the gang. So it turns into a crazy après ski party. Our playlist is nuts, you know, alpine yodeling remixes and just, it's all over the map, and you're gonna hear some stuff, you know, you're gonna hear some stuff you'll just be like, I had no idea this music existed. We ran a lot of stunts with our trick rider Alana Nolan. She specializes in the hippodrome stand, and you'll see her with the Canadian flag. And then our Roman rider Noemi Courgelet, I mean, those girls are just so beautiful and so brave and so accomplished, and their horses are amazing. And then we've had all of these ski guys join us who are, I mean, like, they're legitimate pro skiers, and all those guys you saw in the air in the Banff video had never skijored before, the trick guys.
Wow.
They tested it 45 minutes before the run. And that's how, and they were all up there until 1:30 in the morning, shoveling with us, building those jumps, shaping the kicker, making sure everything was safe. And it was amazing that Banff and Lake Louise Tourism took the risk on us and invited us out, because I think, you know, they just didn't really know what to expect. And there are a lot of logistics to manage when you're running horses, you know, flat out down a main street in a town with a crowd. I asked one of the head guys how he liked the show afterwards. He came and I bought him a whiskey, and he said, well, I didn't know I could hold my breath for an hour and a half. So, yeah, I'm not sure I don't know if they'll ever let us do it again, but we sure did the heck out of it the first time.
Aww, that's so much fun.
We kind of hinted towards it at the beginning of the show, but this is one of the fastest growing winter sports in Canada. How many people are currently participating? What are your kind of projections for the next kind of coming years?
You know, it's projection, and holding an outside event in winter in Alberta is a recipe for a heart attack. Like, it's like, I don't even look at the weather forecast anymore. So definitely, you know, we make the call, like if it's too cold. Last year we had to bump the date twice because it was too cold. Then we had no snow. So we brought in the fire department to make snow, which was amazing. Those guys all rolled in uniform. We took them for a drag. It was really fun. And so, sorry, I'm slightly off topic. To answer your question, we have about 150 teams who run. We have teams coming up from Idaho and from Montana. I have a team coming from Ireland this year, and they're going to be, so that's Susan Oakes, who also side saddle races with me, and she holds the world record for side saddle jumping at 6'8".
Wow.
Totally crazy person. Love her. She's amazing. She's coming with Barry O'Brien Lynch, and they are psyched, and we'll be posting some of their practice videos soon, which are really quite hilarious. I went over and hunted with them in the fall, and we sort of just bonded on doing crazy things. So now we're going to do all the crazy things together. Last year we had a really cold day in the morning, and there was actually a weather advisory to stay home, but we watched the arc and we knew it was going to warm up, so we went ahead with the event, and we had 2,300 spectators last year. So I'm expecting 4,000 this year. That's what we're prepping for. And we have a limited number of teams that we can run just for time slots and daylight hours. Entries for Skijor do open on February 1st via skijorcanada.com, and spectator tickets are on sale also via the website and Facebook. We partnered with Ticket Scene this year, which is really nice to work with Canadian companies. We have amazing sponsors, like the people that are coming out and supporting this. Back on Track's been with us since the beginning. We have Yeti on board now, and they're such fun. We have Filson and Elements Willow Park, so really good gear. We have Bandit Peak Brewing, so there's another little secret. We're doing a little something with Bandit Peak Brewing, which will be out, we're hoping, February 5th. So fun little announcement there. And just everybody in the community has got on board and supported this thing and donated and volunteered their time and their skills. I mean, Claire and Michael Perks, who are Little Monkey Metalworks, they're crazy backcountry skiers, like amazing athletes, both of them. And Michael does the supervises the course for the men's downhill at Lake Louise. So he's our snow guru, and Claire's a rider and a skier. So we have a really good balance of people that know a lot of things, like that I don't know, that make this thing fun and technically excellent and safe. And then all of our crew, all of our marshals, all of our parking attendants, all of our judges, timers, production, video production, photographers, they're all volunteers. And they've all given their time and their talent and really, really made this thing. And it's pretty humbling to be and I'm just so grateful to be a part of this community, because you know what's so great about Canadians, I think, is especially, you know, like rural Canadians, we don't sit around and wait for life to be awesome. We get off the couch, unless it's an Alpine Racing Lounge, and brush our horses, and we warm up our trucks, and we wax our boards, and we go out and we have fun. And we love our environment, we love our wilderness, we love our animals, and we make life fun. And that's what it's about, you know, instead of just sitting there, you know, watching Netflix, which I'm fully going to do for the rest of the day. Just I'm really tired.
So yeah, so if we, instead of sitting on the couch, we take the couch with us, really, right? We get up and go.
As I cook on my double espresso that I'm just pounding.
But I love that, if correct me if I'm wrong, I think I remember this right. So you guys formed in Skijor Canada in 2017, right? And the amount of community support, and you're explaining this diverse group of skill sets that's required to make these events happen, has pulled together in a short amount of time to do these really spectacular, pretty big events.
Yeah, they're big.
That's a lot of hard work, right? Like that's
It's
a lot of
work
and dedication.
I really, you know, your guys who are on course, they deserve a lot of credit, those athletes, and they get amazing photos and coverage and sort of star status. And I really like to throw some shine on our production team, because we have hours and hours of, like, I'm a graphic designer, so, and an artist as well, so I do all of that. We have a wonderful gentleman, Jim Sutherland, who is our showrunner, and he's a big time producer, and so is Bailey Steed, who you'll see in the fashion video. Alana Nolan does all the media for the Flames and the stamps. Mike LaBelle's our announcer. He's a pro rodeo announcer. And then, you know, we have Ann Thompson, who's a coach, and Granny Annie, she's affectionately referred to. We won't say her chronological age because it doesn't match her mental age. And all these people, we're having marshalling meetings, we're having production meetings, we're having, how do we run the bar? You know, how do we do a pop-up photo booth? What do we have in the market? And all of that happens behind the scenes, and nobody sees it. You experience it on the day, but you don't see the mechanics of that. And those people are really heroes. All those people that shovel snow and put up banners and repost stuff and hashtag stuff and run around picking up cheese and stir fondue and, you know, barbecue bratwursts. And like, it truly takes a village, and we have an amazing village.
I think, you know, Emma really spoke to it quite eloquently earlier, how there's just like this lightness to this sport, and this level of just fun and being goofy. And just listening to you talk, there's a few stories that have kind of poked through, but I'm wondering if there's one that stands out for you as like a favorite memory of an event, or like a funny moment from one of your events that you've put on just around Alberta.
That's a good question. There's so many. I think one of the really sweet things was the Mazur brothers came to Trick Ski for us the first year, and Sarah Ingram is their coach. They're up north, and their little brother Carson wasn't old enough to compete, and they convinced him, his older brothers convinced him to try a backflip, and of course videotaped it. And the poor kid he was a little hesitant and he just didn't commit, and he faced it like hard into the snow. And his brothers, lovely boys that they are, put the video up on Jerry of the Day, and the poor kid got about 500,000 hits in 4 hours.
No.
So we nicknamed him the Skijor Don't Kid. And and I called Toby at Back on Track, and I said, look, Carson's too young to compete. Can we do something for him? Like, can we acknowledge him in some way? Because that was, the fact that he got up and skied again after that was amazing. And so we hatched this little plan. We stripped Carson down to his boxers, to his Back on Track boxers, and kitted him out in every support brace that Back on Track makes, and gave him a chance to land the trick behind Alana Nolan with the Canadian flag at the event, and he landed it, and the crowd just went nuts. It was amazing. Yeah. And then, we have some pretty decorated guys out there. Sheldon Kennedy runs with his daughter Ryan, who works with me, and again, that first year he blew a ski, I think, over the first or second roller, and finished the course on one ski, and the crowd just went nuts. So we really get some crazy athletic people out there, and it's such good watching. Like and so that's what I would say to the crowd is there's so much to do. We have a winter market. This year we have poutine. Super excited about the poutine. So the menu is very limited. It's at Skijor Do is bratwurst, fondue, poutine, and chocolate. So yeah.
What more do you need?
Craft beer and wine and champagne, of course. And Cody and Sue sponsors our style awards. So there will be judges in the crowd, and these are for non-competitors. These are for our fans and our spectators. And there are 3 categories: Western, Eurotrash, and Fusion. So it gives you lots of room to play. And that's what I like about Skijor Do. It's really playful. I mean, when you have that much cheese, you can't take it seriously. So I don't know if you ladies have seen the memes. I kind of like, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning a lot. I'm kind of an insomniac, so I make memes, and they entertain me. I hope they entertain somebody else.
Send some our way.
I was just gonna say, I would love for you to send some over.
Yeah.
Oh, I will fire you off some memes. They'll be dropping soon here now that we're moving into full fromage.
Here's a question for you. What do you do in the summertime? I know here we were really excited about this interview because both Mira and I were thinking, oh man, maybe next winter we'll have something to look forward to instead of getting the wintertime horse blues. What do you do in the summertime?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I have a full-time job, so I'm a trainer and a coach. And my work schedule is pretty intense in the summer. I manage a property and I love it. I love my job. I also run the side saddle races for the Calgary Stampede. So that's a really amazing group of women and another amazing group of horses. And we actually have some of them that Skijor and side saddle race. Cool. Like Claire Perks and Erin Thompson both race in side saddle, and Ryan Kennedy and Haley Stewart. We have some badass girls out there, like really like good looking and good at what they do. And yeah, they're really good for the sport. It's because boys, come out there. It's good watching. So yeah, in the summer I cross country jump a lot. I run a string of about 16 horses in work, and then I have a bunch of retirees and broodmares as well. I stay pretty busy.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, if I'm not busy being good, I'll be busy being bad. So.
Is there anything that like the skijoring community gets up to in the summertime? Like any kind of like cross training that you hear about athletes doing?
No, I think a lot of us are also a part of the hunt club. So we don't have any foxes or hounds. We just dress up and blow horns and run around and jump over stuff.
Perfect. So, and that all of that fun and shenanigans keeps your horses fit all summer long, and then wintertime comes and you're ready.
Well, all these Skijoring horses have other jobs. So some of them are jumpers, some of them are cutters, some of them are reiners, some of them are barrel racers. A lot of them are just good using ranch horses. I don't know that there's any like, specifically just Skijor horses out there. And I think it's so much fun. I like my horses to be versatile, and I think it's more fun for them to get to do stuff. All my horses go to the hills, they live out together. Mares and geldings live out together. They work together in sets. They go out in big groups. And I think, they're very social animals. And it's important for them to get to socialize and for them not to just lope circles in an arena all the time. They need to get out and learn where to put their feet and see a little bit of country, and it's very refreshing, and it's good for our minds, and it's good for their minds to do different things and face different challenges, and that builds trust in your relationship with your horse, I think.
Is there anything specific that you look for when you're choosing a horse for this sport? I know you talked about speed, but conformation-wise or temperament-wise, you talked about baroque horses, of course.
I think it depends on where you're running. I mean, in the States, they're running generally straight, long tracks, and their skiers are next level. Their horses are fast, they're taller, they take a little bit longer to get their stride. What we've done here in Alberta is structure it so they're, different horses are going to excel in different events. If you've got a thoroughbred, the sprint's for you. If you've got a really handy little ranch horse, then you're going to win the relay or be competitive in it. So what I always look for first in a horse, and my horses do all sorts of stuff. I mean, they go parade and they work on heartland and they do all sorts. They're just like, oh God, mom has another crazy idea. But I look for good conformation, which is going to make a horse, it's going to be easier for him to use himself well and be economical with his movement if he's put together. And then the mind. And for me, it's not, when I try a horse, it's not necessarily how much he knows, it's how hard he tries and how he learns. Does he let me help him? And that's really important to me, is the try, because if they're there for you and they want to let you help them, then you can teach them most anything. So yeah, and I rehab quite a few horses. That's just sort of my way of giving back. And I really enjoy that as well. And I just think it's important to understand, like, I really like to find out, what does a horse want to do? What's he good at? What does he naturally excel at? And then how can I position him to succeed there? So if that's not in my string, if he doesn't want to work in a big group or he doesn't want to jump fences, then I will find something that he likes to do and make sure that he has a career there. And there's a great quote, and I think it was from, I think it was from Ray Hunt. And he said, the best thing you can do for a horse is teach him manners and give him a solid foundation, because then he will always have a good home. And I really think that's true, yeah, our horses they do amazing things for us. So
wonderful.
Pretty proud of them.
And before we kind of wrap things up, there was one thing that we talked about in our email that I'd love to bring up. And I think you kind of touched on it earlier. So the Skijor Do, which supports the Prairie Skis Equine Assisted Therapy.
Prairie Skies, right? Yes. Prairie Skies Equine Assisted Therapy.
Tell us about that.
So we've raised about 12 grand for them. Wow. They're a local organization, and they use horses in their therapy programs for people with mental and physical disabilities. And really great group of people running it. And we've been with them from the beginning, because a couple of their I think a couple of them crashed our first party. Maybe they were invited. They might have been invited. And I just think it's a wonderful program for both the horses and the people who are receiving that assistance. They're pioneering a new PTSD program. They really benefit from the sport. It's expensive to take good care of horses, and we want to make sure that those really special horses that are helping people have the absolute best care. So anything we can do to support them is so appreciated by them, and they in turn support us with coming out and helping us on the day and helping us set up and tear down, and they're a great bunch of people.
Wonderful.
Well, I think that's all the questions that I had. This is the part of the episode where you get to promote yourself.
Oh,
How
well,
can people find you? How can people get involved with the sport?
I think check out skijourcanada.com. That's got all our information. We're also on Instagram and Facebook as Skijor Canada. Facebook's Instagram's great to see photos. Facebook is the best way to meet people and find partners, find teammates, and really check out our sponsors. They're listed on our page, our past sponsors and our current sponsors, and they really, this thing has a ton of infrastructure. Insurance is expensive, and having the support of these local businesses and now some international brands is essential to the survival of this sport. So we always try to give our sponsors love and to send people in their direction. And everybody that we're working with, they're amazing people. They have integrity. Their products are top shelf. We use everything that we endorse, and we love good gear, and we love taking good care of our horses, and we love good wine and good cheese, all those things. So I really encourage everybody to have a look at those sponsors and pop in and see them and sample their wares and tell them how much you appreciate them supporting the growth of this sport in Canada.
Wonderful. And so the website is Skijor.com. Awesome. And then do you guys have Instagram, Facebook?
Both of those things. We have Twitter too, and I think I got a kid running Snapchat because I'm too old for Snapchat. So, yeah, and tag us. If you're practicing and you're taking photos, tag at Skijor Canada and we'll pop you on our post, and tag your fashion, tag your gear. Tags hashtag Skijor style. There's lots of fun hashtags out there. Eat Cheese Go Fast is a great one. And you'll find it a really welcoming, jovial, fun community.
Sounds like it. That's great. It's been such a pleasure, Sam. Thank you so much. And I think is that a wrap?
That's a wrap.
All right.
If you want more Friends on Horses, you can find us on Facebook at Friends on Horses Podcast.
Check it out for all the latest and greatest horsey news.
You can find us on the web at friendsonhorsespodcast.com
or Instagram at friendsonhorses_podcast.
Like what you hear? Help us quit our hay jobs by supporting Friends on Horses. You can support us by rating our episodes on iTunes,
becoming an ongoing sponsor through Patreon,
or simply by spreading the word about our show.
Have some feedback?
We'd love to hear from you.
Contact us via email at friendsonhorses@gmail.com.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.